I don't do the most, but I do a lot. I'ma make a toast, cause we still alive. No big, I feel like Pac. I shoot a shot. I'm coming in hot. Coming in hot. Shoot that. Hey, why not?
All right, everybody, what's going on? This is Isham again with another episode of Ice Cold Facts. Today I got a very special guest. He's not your typical St. Louis guy. He's not even from St. Louis. So we get to deviate from all of that St. Louis talk for a while, and we get to talk some real basketball with the head coach of Tennessee State University, Mr. Brian Pitney Collins. How you doing this morning, sir?
Man, doing good, man. I appreciate you having me on.
I appreciate you taking the time and, being able to come on and just shed some light on what it's like being not only a Division I coach, but a young Black Division I coach. So, we'll kick right into gear and just tell the people a little bit about who you are.
Well, I'm like you said, I'm coaching at Tennessee State. It was always a dream of mine to be a head coach and to be a head coach at Tennessee State. I grew up here in Nashville, but I was born and raised in Memphis.
Okay.
Son of a coach, so been around the game my entire life.
Okay.
And man, really just feel like I'm living just a lifelong dream every single day, man. So we got a beautiful family, wife, and we got one son named History. And man, our goal is to make Tennessee State ranked in the country.
Okay, nice. Now Tennessee State is there. You guys are technically considered an HBCU, correct?
Yes.
Okay, nice. So where did the nickname Penny come from? How did that come about?
So, I was from Memphis. So Penny Hardaway was my favorite player growing up.
Okay.
So when I moved to Nashville, in my neighborhood, there was another Brian in our neighborhood. And I used to always wear Penny Hardaway jerseys
Gotcha.
when we were outside playing. And that was right around town. The Penny Hardaway commercials were really, really getting popular. And people were wearing Penny Hardaway shoes. And,
yeah.
It was kind of like a joke. Like since that's Brian, we're going to call you Lil Penny the doll. Like, because I used to wear the Penny jersey all the time.
Okay.
So my nickname was Lil Penny forever. And I was real small too. So then I ended up growing, man. I was like 5'9", and I grew from Lil Penny. I grew from Lil Penny at 5'9" to by the time I was a senior in high school, I was 6'4".
Nice.
And I played the point. So, they dropped the Lil Penny and just started calling me Penny. And that kind of just stuck, man. And I ended up having a pretty good career as a player as well.
Okay. So did you kind of pattern your game after Penny? As far as him being a big, I think he's 6'7", so a 6'7" point guard, being able to drive to the basket, shoot, dish the ball. You kind of pattern your game after him?
Yeah, of course, man. I loved his game. I used to watch every time I could watch the Orlando Magic play. And even when he was at Memphis State, I went and watched him play in college.
Okay.
And I just always try to, do things he would do, make moves he would make. And, being a tall point guard, obviously wanted to emulate that as well. So he's definitely somebody I always looked up to as a player. And he was my favorite player, Michael Jordan and then Penny Hardaway. That was my two guys I always hang my hat on.
Yeah. I think Penny, he could have gotten a ring at some point had Jordan just spoiled it for everybody in the 90s. So, I was a Bulls fan first, like you, Jordan, but then the Penny Shaq era, I mean, that was, to me, that's still one of the best duos. They're my top five duos, Penny and Shaq.
Yeah, man. And the thing about Penny Hardaway at that time, you had people like Michael Jordan crowning Penny as being the next great. Magic Johnson was saying he was the next great. And, the greats that we watch now, like LeBron James, his favorite player growing up was Penny Hardaway, so it just goes to show you the influence that he had on a lot of people in our generation.
Yeah, he just got the injury bug and, unfortunately we just never saw him really blossom because he would have been a superstar. Like you said, the commercials, I mean, in that era, with Chris Rock doing the little Penny Doll voice.
Right. I
mean, that was unheard of at that time. So he was transcending the game, with being a media mogul. And like I said, he just injuries, he got the whiff of it. And, him, Grant Hill, a lot of guys that you didn't get to see the best of, unfortunately. So I know you mentioned your dad was a coach. Tell us a little bit about that, as far as his success at the coaching level. Was he a high school, college?
Yeah, well, so my dad, he played he played college ball. You know, he played. He started off his career at Middle Tennessee State and went on to play at UT Martin.
Okay.
To finish his career, and he had a really good college career, and he got right into coaching as soon as he graduated.
Okay.
So he just recently, I say recently because he retired after 40 years of coaching high school basketball, and he coached a lot of really good players, and he's been all over and won a lot of games.
Okay.
He was recently inducted into the Hall of Fame of Metro Sports here in Nashville.
Okay, and congratulations on that.
Appreciate that. We're really excited. And right after that, he got inducted last year. He got inducted into Cumberland University because he played 1 year of junior college basketball at Cumberland University.
Okay.
And they just inducted him to the Hall of Fame there. So, you know, he's been around the game for a really long time. And when I had the opportunity to be the head coach at Columbia State Junior College in 2013, after my first season going into year number 2, my dad was retired and, you know, just sitting at home, and I asked him, would he want to come help me out? Just come volunteer and help his son out on the staff and work with me. And he said he decided to come down there. And I don't think it was no secret that we went from, you know, a mediocre junior college team. We won 11 games. And then the next year we were 28-2, and we were number 2. We were number 3 in the country in junior college basketball.
Nice.
And my dad was on that staff, you know, that first year. And he had a lot of good things to say and a lot of good wisdom. And then the next year he was back again, and we went back to back. We went back to the national tournament. So then I left him with the East Tennessee State. So when I went to East Tennessee State and then Illinois State and came back to Tennessee State, after my first year at Tennessee State, we won 9 games last year.
Okay.
So once again, my dad was sitting around the house. I said, man, why don't you come and be my senior advisor?
Gotcha.
This past season, he was our senior advisor, and he was every practice and staff meetings. He gave a lot of input, and he's just a legendary coach, and he has that presence about him.
Okay.
And just like all the coaches that came up in our generation, like when they walked in the room, we had fear, and when they said something, we were quiet. And it just was, you know, it's a little different in this generation now. But you know, those OG coaches that we had a lot of respect for. My pops is on the staff now, and you know, we doubled up the win total from a 9-win team last year to 18 this year.
Nice.
And I would like to say, I'm gonna go ahead and give him all the credit, you know, because he's no pop. But we also just had we had a really good year, and a lot of new guys, and I'm just lucky to have somebody like my dad to be able to bounce ideas off of.
Right.
It's a part of my family.
Yeah, that's nice. I mean, to have someone. I mean, it sounds like he's had a decorated career. I'll throw the title out there of him being a legend. You know, you don't make it 40 years and not be able to get that title. So, I mean, that's good. And then, like you said, the success follows him. You know, he's doubled wins for you, and just being that presence. So as a kid, you know, him being a coach, you being a young player, you know, what type of influence did he have on your game? Was he out there working with you? Was he, you know, as a coach, I'm a coach myself, and I try not to be hard on my kids. So I've got 3 kids, 2 boys and a girl. My youngest and middle child, they're the hoopers of the family. And I try not to be too hard on them. So is that something, like, what was the environment like in your house growing up with your dad being a coach?
You know, I think I'm one of them rare ones, man, that my dad he never, ever forced basketball on me.
Okay.
Never made me go to the gym or made me go outside and shoot, or you come to work out today, or when he would, a lot of the times when we played, he played, so he didn't get a chance to see me play a lot. But when he did watch me play, it was never, you didn't do something right. He was always positive. He never like bashed me when I played bad or we lost a game. It was always positive. Like, I can never remember one time where I felt frustrated with my dad getting on me about having a bad game. Like, he was extremely positive in every aspect. And one slogan he would always say was, "Give me 10 in the win."
Okay.
That meant get double figures at least and get a win. So
not too hard to attain.
And I thought was odd is that I was looking at my college stats at Belmont, and I averaged 10 points in my career.
that stuck with you then.
Yeah, I should have said.
Give me that 10.
Daddy should have said 20 in a win. What was he thinking about?
Right. It boost you up a little bit.
Yeah, but yeah, he was always extremely positive, and like I always felt myself asking him, where you finna go? Oh, we got practice this morning. I'm going with you. You know, I'm riding with you. Like I always wanted to go to the gym when I was younger, and even into my high school and college days. You know, it would when I was at Belmont and they would be having practice over Christmas break. I would go to some of his practices when I was in college and I'd go practice against his guys and play. So, you know, I always just wanted to be in the gym with him. And he would always like, if I started shooting, he never like was one of those dads like, I'm going to work you out today.
Yeah.
Like, I would just start shooting after practice or something. He would just be down there rebounding for me. Yeah. And he would, you know, just with no intentions of when we're going to stop. It might be an hour and a half. He just rebounding, shooting. So stuff like that, man. So I had the best dad in terms of somebody not trying to push him and overkill it or nothing like that, or being really negative on him. And it really worked out for me. So that's why I hate it when I see a lot of people's pops being real negative and
man,
on their sons, because I didn't go through that, and I had a lot of success.
Yeah, I mean a lot of times now, and you might see it a lot being a college coach, where parents, they're more vocal than they should be. Excuse me. They they kind of throw themselves out there, and it makes the kid look bad because you got these parents demanding all this attention. And I've dealt with it as well, where parents they feel they need to have that voice. And I'm like, I'm the coach, you're the parent, so you got to draw that line. So it sounds like your dad did a good job with that.
Right. And I do want to say, my dad and my mom, neither one of them ever said two words at the game, screaming at the coach or screaming at the referee or even talking to me during the games. They never would talk to me. They encouraged me to not even look in the stands at them or to nobody else, And my mom, bless her heart, she's a coach's wife. So she always had this thing where she would sit high up in the stands because she didn't want to hear people badmouth on her husband. And then now, like, she's coming to the games at Tennessee State, and she's like, "You been that badmouth my husband or my son?"
Right? Yeah, she definitely do it now.
Yeah. So and like that takes a lot of will too, man. You got to understand, like, coaches' wives and coaches' moms having to sit in the stands and listen to people being negative towards the coach.
Yeah.
Let alone their son. It doesn't happen as much. It shouldn't happen as much as the son, because you're usually sitting around other people's parents and y'all all cheering for the same team. But the coach, man, like gets criticism, and the parents and the family of that coach got to sit there and listen to some of that stuff and hold their tongue when they probably do want to turn around and say, "Shut the hell up." You know what I mean? But yeah, it's a tough job, and I've been blessed to have good parents and a great wife too, that she deals with the same things, man. She's not quiet at history as my son's games, though. My wife not quiet at her history. but she, it's a tough job to be able to handle that pressure of hearing people badmouth the people that you love, still hold your tongue.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, my wife coaches literally right beside me. So you see me, you see her. And I'm more of the laid back, guy. I let stuff kind of roll off. And my wife is that enforcer, like, what you say? Like, she ready.
Yeah.
She's ready. So people, a lot of times, they deflect stuff to her, if there's any issues or whatever, because they know, hey, Coach Williams, she's going to be on it. So, but at the same time, she's got to listen to criticism, and, we have to juggle that work-life balance in a sense, so how long have you been married?
7 years.
7 years. Nice. And how you got your son History? How old is he?
7.
Gotcha. Nice. So yeah, I've been married 12 years. I've got a 14-year-old, a 12-year-old, and a 9-year-old.
Oh yeah, y'all weren't playing.
Yeah, I got the gray hair coming in. It's hard to see on this video, but it's there.
Yeah, but, same here. Mine's like hiding up under my chin, but they make you have it, man. They make you get it quick, don't they?
They do, and the coaching along with that. So, talk a little bit about like the work-life balance. You've had a long day at the office. Then you got to come home. You got to be a father. You got to be a husband. How do you juggle all of that between being a coach, a father, and a husband?
I mean, it's tough. That's the key. The balance is the key. When you're at work, you try to focus on what you got going on, and when you come home, it's hard to put the phone down. But I've been finding myself pre-pandemic, obviously, find myself just like putting my phone on the charger and just leaving it in the room.
Yeah.
Because you got to give your family your undivided attention. You know, you don't want to talk to them and be looking at a text message or take a phone call, while a recruiting phone call coming in while you're trying to have some family time, watch a movie or eat dinner or whatever. And you really just take the time. And the biggest issue is that you usually are exhausted by the time you get home, and and your son don't care because they want you to play or have that energy. So you gotta put that thing in second gear and be ready to fight through whatever fatigue you got going on. So I make sure that we carve out as much time as we can. My family my wife she real tough because she'll be working all day and pick my son up from school, and instead of just coming home and sitting around the house, she'll just bring him on up to the gym, and they'll watch practice and be at practice, and we feed our guys after practice, so they'll eat with us sometimes and chill and hang out. So I involve my family as much as I can, and I encourage my assistant coaches to do the same thing. They bring their families up there to practice. On road trips, when we go on certain road trips that are not long road trips, we bring the families. I always bring my family. This year we're in Vegas for Thanksgiving, so we bring everybody's family out to Vegas with us. Gotcha. So we just try to do as much as we can like that.
Okay.
To have as much balance as possible, because it is tough.
Yeah. And it sounds like, that alludes to my next question, as far as the culture at Tennessee State, what do you, I know different programs, they pride themselves on, doing this versus what another program does. But it sounds like the core values of Tennessee State really is family.
Absolutely.
And I think that's incredible that you guys that you embody that, you're a leading example, and you're encouraging others to follow and do the same. So I think that speaks volumes to your character. So is that something you use in like a recruiting pitch where you're working on a recruit, are you emphasizing that, hey, we've got a family-like culture here at Tennessee State. This is why you should choose us. Is that something you do?
Oh, absolutely. We talk about it all the time. I was on a Zoom call last night, and my assistant coach told some people that, nobody spends as much time with our players. In my 15 years of coaching, he said nobody has spent as much time with players as my head coach does.
Okay.
And we do. We spend a lot of time with our guys. We have family atmosphere, and we sell that in recruiting. We talk about different campuses having different gyms and different buildings, and that's great. But my wife just sprayed the window as we on Zoom. But at the end of the day, it's about the people in the buildings. It's not about the buildings. It's about the people inside those buildings, and what kind of relationships are you gonna have with them while you're there, and not only while you're there, what are these going to be lifelong relationships that you're going to have? And that's something that we can hang our hat on at Tennessee State, that once you become a part of our family, we family for life.
Okay.
And, I just, any guy that leaves our program could tell you that.
Gotcha. Now, who are some I saw briefly some of the alumni from Tennessee State. Are there some names that you can throw out there that people, might be able to relate to as far as guys that have come through their program?
Yeah. Are you talking about like the pros?
Just pros, or names that, are recognizable, NBA guys, guys that maybe be in the G League or whatnot, who are some big names that have come from there?
Well, back in the 60s, we had, we were pumping out NBA players like we were the factory. We were the University of Kentucky of college basketball.
Okay.
In the 60s, one of our teams just got inducted into the National Basketball Hall of Fame. 57, 58, 59, they won 3 straight national championships. Nice. And that was the first time in college basketball history that had ever been done, 3 straight. Okay. And on that team, we had 4 NBA players. So, think about that in 2020. If we had 4 NBA players on one team at a HBCU, you know what I'm saying? It's been done before, though.
Yeah.
That team was highlighted by Dick Skull Barnett, who went on to play in the NBA.
Okay.
13 plus years. He was an NBA All-Star. Won 2 championships with the Knicks. So all my Knicks fans out there, y'all struggling. The last time y'all were great was when y'all had a team full of HBCU players. Y'all had Dick Barnett, Willis Reed from Grambling State, and Earl the Pearl Monroe was from Winston-Salem State. So that was the last time the Knicks were good. But so Dick Barnett, Truck Robinson played in the NBA. He was like, the Karl Malone at his age. Lloyd Neal, played for Portland Trailblazers. He bagged up Bill Walton on their NBA championship team. We had Ben Worley. Moving right along to some people that you might have heard of. Anthony Mason played in the NBA for a long time. Carlos Rogers was drafted after him. And most recently, we have Robert Covington, who plays for the Houston Rockets, who was all NBA first team defense last year with the Sixers when he was with the Sixers. So Taj McCall was with the Atlanta Hawks and Brooklyn Nets. He signed a couple of 10-day contracts this past year. So we've had over 23. We've had 23 guys drafted in the NBA in the history of our program.
Gotcha.
But there's so much history at Tennessee State. The most famous track athlete in the history of track was Wilma Rudolph. You know, she's a Tennessee State graduate. Ed Too Tall Jones and Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie. You know, we have big time names in the NFL. So, there's a lot of high level athletes that came out of our institution.
Okay. Yeah, and that's something I think people don't realize. You know, a lot of people get stuck in the now. You know, and who are these schools pumping out? Who's going to the league from this school? And I personally would love to see. And I know we can't do any name drops or anything, but I'm seeing guys, high school players tweet, hey, it might not be a bad idea to go to a HBCU and things like that. So I think, you know, especially with what's going on now, we need to at least give those HBCs those looks. They need to get that attention and at least have a chance, you know, because I'm sure, you know, if you're going after a 5-star recruit, you know, maybe you can elaborate on this a little. You know, if you're going at a top-notch recruit, you know, and he's saying he's got Kentucky, Duke, Carolina lined up. As a coach, are you still going to force yourself, you know, to be in that mix, or do you feel that it's going to be a waste of my time and you fall back, you know, as a recruiter?
Well, I think the biggest thing. No, I'm not going to fall back. If I had, it's all about relationships. If I have a relationship with that young man and I know we have a fighting chance, I'm going to swing all the way to the end until he makes his decision on decision-making day, you know, whatever that is. But if I don't know the guy, I've never recruited him, never been in there, then I'm not going to waste my time. You know, recruiting is a relationship-based business. You know, you need to know somebody. You need to know the family. You need to have a relationship with the AU coach, the high school coach. If I'm late to the party, there's no point, you know. Yeah. But unless that kid has told me, I want to come play for Penny Collins at Tennessee State, you know. So, but I think the most important thing is that what we just talked about when you asked me about some of the notable players, we have to educate our student athletes on the history of these programs. You know, making a comment and saying, well, I want to be a pro. And let me preface that by saying that everybody's not going to be an NBA player. Everybody's not going to be a overseas pro neither. Yep. You know, we actually need more doctors and more lawyers, more teachers, more politicians. You know, we need people like that. So I don't want to get this message mixed as if NBA is the only thing that matters. It doesn't.
Right.
But if a student athlete is saying they want to be an NBA player, so if I want to play in the NBA, there's no reason for me to go to HBCU. That's not true statement. And our young athletes need to be educated that we have just as many. So let's take an example right now. And I don't like name dropping a lot, but I'll do it on your podcast. You're from St. Louis, right?
St. Louis, yes, sir.
I just Googled St. Louis. How many players have played in the NBA in the history of University of St. Louis? Is that the most popular program in St. Louis? I mean, we can just – it's one
as
of
far
them.
As in St. Louis, it is St. Louis University.
So St. Louis has had 12 guys playing in the NBA since 1946 all the way to now. 12 players. You know, so to the naked eye, a kid would probably say, "Man, I'm going to St. Louis. If I'm going to the NBA, I'm going to St. Louis." You know, and I ain't knocking St. Louis. I love St. Louis and the head coach, and I've got friends up there, so this is not a negative comment towards them. But they've had 12 players playing in the NBA. We've had 13. Okay, that does that mean that we're a better team than them? No, but what it means is don't discredit Tennessee State. My dreams can't come true there. We've actually had more NBA players in the NBA than the school that you're saying that you want to go to. You know what I'm saying? Right. Yeah. And I'm doing this on the fly right now. I'm on the Atlantic 10 schools. So let's pick another one. Let's pick Rhode Island. Okay.
I only know one off the top of my head from Rhode Island. Lamar Odom would be the only one I know from Rhode Island.
Okay, well they've had 16 players.
Oh, okay.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
But it's not like they've had 46. You see what I'm saying? let's pick VCU, another extremely popular program. They've had 11 in the history of their program. You know what I'm saying? So my point is that you can't just automatically assume that a HBCU like Tennessee State or Grambling State or Southern, I can't go to one of those schools and be great. When Tennessee State's we've had 15 players play in the NBA. We've had 23 players drafted, to be exact. I'll give you some exact numbers. Southern universities had 14. Jackson State's had 14 NBA players play in the NBA. So when those numbers are factual numbers, the perception is I got to go play at a Power 5 school to go to the NBA, which is not true when some HBCUs have more NBA players than Power 5 schools.
Yeah.
So I guess the charge is how do we get the youth to know the history of some of these HBCUs and to understand that your dreams can come true anywhere, young man.
Yes, sir.
You know, your talent is going to be found wherever you go. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's the biggest thing for me is to educate the youth so that they're not saying things that are not true about some of these schools that they're, you know, quote unquote, not considering to attend to. You know what I'm saying? So that's my biggest thing.
Okay. What's the landscape like in Nashville as far as from a prep hoop standpoint? You know, what's the atmosphere like? Is there an abundance of talent? You know, I know some cities differ. You know, so what's the landscape like in Nashville?
Yeah, I mean, we've got a lot of pros that have come out of the city. We have a basketball right now is going crazy right now. We've got some new open runs that we're doing called 615 runs where all the NBA players that are from the city are playing. We got other NBA players coming down here to play. You know, guys that have played here in the city are coming back, like Rob Covington, who's from Chicago area, but played at Tennessee State here in Nashville. He built his home here in Nashville. Okay. So he's down here hooping and in the pro runs, and guys like Ian Clark, who played with the Golden State Warriors. Yeah. You know, he's played at Belmont here in Nashville. Okay. So he comes back here in the offseason. He was playing out there with those guys too. And, you know, you look at guys like Darius Garland, who played with the Cavaliers, played here in Nashville. He was the number 1 point guard in the country coming out. And guys like James Wiseman this past year, who played in Memphis, another Nashvilleian who's probably going to be a top 5 pick this year. Yeah. So we've been cranking out a lot of really good talent, and we got some really good young guys coming up who are, you know, some of the top ranked players in the country. So Nashville is a hotbed of some really good talent. We got players playing all over the country right now, and you know, we just got to continue to try to keep some of this homegrown talent at home, but at the same time. I'm just really happy to see that Nashville basketball is growing like it is right now.
Basically saying with the whole COVID-19, you know, how's that affected your recruiting, you know, in terms of, I'm sure, you know, we're in June. So by now, you know, you would have been on the recruiting trails. So how has the whole pandemic kind of shifted that for you?
Man, it's going to really impact the next 2 recruiting classes because and not being able to see any of the young guys that are, you know, 21s and 22s. And so all the contacts that we're going to be able to make is if we previously have seen them already or relationships, you know. Right now I'm getting a lot of emails about 21s and 22 kids because they're panicking and worried that we're not going to be able to see these young men. And they're like, you know, sending me their highlights and stuff like that. So to not see them in person and see them in a real game situation where things don't go well in a game, you know, that's some of the things I like to see, how their mannerisms are when things don't go well and adversity hits and how coachable are they, you know, do they scrunch their face up and make a little smart little mouth, you know, how to react to a bad call and some of those real key detailed things that I like to see in recruiting. I'm not going to be able to see them on the summer circuit. So hopefully, this will be able to open up during the high school seasons. But the thing about high school is that, you know, you maybe have one or two per team versus in AAU, you're going to see, you know, 300 guys in one weekend, you know. So it's going to be an interesting thing. And, you know, everybody's making, the good thing is nobody's getting some type of an advantage. So everybody's going into it the same way. And, you know, we're just going to have to make the best of the situation.
Yeah. Yeah, and I always felt that, you know, anybody can put together a highlight tape. And, I mean, I came out 2004 from high school, and if social media was around back then, I could have packaged a real nice, little highlight tape and, could have got some high D1 offers based off that. So I think personally, this whole pandemic is going to make the kids, they're going to have to work that much harder, because like you said, you're missing the mannerisms and, the reactions, the knee-jerk reactions and things like that. You're not being able to see that. So, aside from putting in work on the court, you got to put in work mentally as well. With these players, they've got to sharpen, every facet of their game. It's my belief. So,
yeah.
Hopefully, you can get some good recruits out of this still, and even maybe defer and get some of that homegrown talent. That'll be pretty dope, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So, as a young coach, as a young Black coach, do you feel that you get the respect you deserve? Do you feel you get overshadowed because, one, you're young, and then two, you're African American out here on the D1 program?
I mean, growing up, that's kind of how we've always been taught that, you're coming in this thing 10 points behind or 10 steps behind, or you got to be 10 steps better in everything you do.
Yeah.
So that mentality hasn't changed for me, even 14 years into the game, still like it's new. Every year I'm going into a hungry as if we're down 10 every game and every aspect of it, anything that's going on. But I'm just a strong believer. If you live your life in excellence and go about your business the right way, keep your nose clean and do what you're supposed to do. Make sure your program is polished and your young men are handling themselves in the top degree way. Then you'll get what you're supposed to get, in time. Do I feel like there's some unfair things that happen as African American coaches? Yeah, of course I do. But we don't walk around using it as no crutch. We keep our head down and keep working. And when things are supposed to be, they will be. And it'll be because of the hard work that we put in. So, I don't try to go around and hold this no crutch, but I'm not naive to the fact that there are a lot of injustices and things that are going on towards in our profession and of course in the world. So I'm very conscious about that, and not only just me, our players are as well. We talk about that with our guys. Not only just talk about it, we teach about it. We bring people in to speak about it, and we have PowerPoint presentations where we make them get notes out and take notes on it.
Gotcha.
So it's a very detailed thing that we go through with our guys, and it's just as important as any play that I could put in. Teaching them about how to move in this world, man.
Yeah. I mean, that's important. And, sadly, it's 400 years, all we do, we find ourselves talking about the same thing. And, I struggle with talking to my two boys about just the racial tension that's around in the world. And they don't fully comprehend it. And that's always my biggest fear, is that my sons won't fully understand. So as a coach, you being a mentor to those young men, I'm sure that, they appreciate that. You're probably looked at as a father figure, some might be a big brother. So I mean, that would be a big selling point for me as a recruit. I'm able to go into an institution, build a relationship with somebody that looks like me. That I don't know how you are with the society today as far as the lingo and the music and things like that, but that's always a good thing as well when you're trying to build those relationships. If you look like me, if you talk like me, I can rock with you. So do you have those conversations with your son, or do you feel it's a little too early to kind of talk about the racial divide in the world?
No, not right now. He just now kind of starting to see what's going on CNN, things like that, and he's asking questions on why are they doing this and why are they doing that. But he still sees Black people as black, brown, peach, depending on what your color is. He don't see as two different races or anything like that. Like,
okay.
And when the time is right, he'll be able to understand. And at the same time, it's one of those things. It's like these kids I want them to understand the history, but it's like he doesn't even know. So why? Like that's the craziest thing to me. That's like, you want them to understand the history of what we've been through, because they're going to be faced with it at some point, regardless. I don't care what kind of sheltered life you try to bring up for your kids. At some point, they're going to face some type of racial injustice or something. They're going to see something on TV. Something's going to happen eventually. But he doesn't even see it. He doesn't even see a color. He doesn't even see a race. It don't matter who it is. He's going to go play with them and have fun and talk and communicate with whoever, what color it is. It doesn't matter. And it's like, I always think like the world, all the kids in the world are all born like that. You know, all the kids in the world are born with this.
I agree.
It's not a naive way of thinking because that's the way they should think.
Facts.
They have a pure way of thinking, and then somewhere down the line they get corrupted. And unfortunately, my son is going to have to get corrupted at some point and understand the truth, the harsh truth. And that's sad because I shouldn't have to say anything ever. Yeah. But I'm going to have to because he's going to see it, and I don't want him to be caught off guard by it. So I don't know when the time is right, but the time is just not yet. Yeah,
that makes sense. I mean, it's always a touchy subject, and then when you see everything that's going on around the world, it makes it that much harder. So on top of the whole pandemic with the COVID-19, now we're dealing with this as another issue, and I always say, when things are going wrong, one thing that brings everything together is sports. We're even kind of missing that right now. But I think today, the NBA is voting on the restart. So I don't know how privy you are to that, but what's your thoughts on the NBA coming back?
From a safety standpoint, I can understand the frustration and not, just jumping right back into it. But as a player and as a competitor, and really as a human being, I want to see it come back because I think we need it.
We do.
We need to see, some of the guys that this generation looks up to, LeBron and Kawhi and some of them guys, Chris Paul, get back on the court and do what they do. And at the same time, use their platform in front of the whole world to show how special we are. Not because of just basketball, just because they're good at basketball, because LeBron James is going to use his voice.
He's going to use that platform for sure.
Yeah. And it's going to take our minds off of the stresses that, we're going through right now.
Yeah.
But one thing I do want to say is that I don't want us to forget about what's going on either.
Yeah.
I don't want this to be something that we really hit hard for a month and then we forget about it and we right back to it. I really want change.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've been moved to do is I've been seeing a lot of coaches talk about it, but I'm going to make my guys register to vote. I'm going to make them.
Okay.
If they haven't done it, put it in the group. We put it in the group chat the other day and put the website in there to make them do it on their own. But when they get back on campus, if they haven't done it yet, they're going to sit in a computer lab and every coach is going to make sure they at least register.
That's
dope.
On
November 3rd, when the poll comes open, I'm going to make sure my guys are in line.
Yeah, put them all on the bus.
And bring that sticker back, showing me that they have at least voted. I'm not going to force them to tell them who to vote for, but, I want to encourage them to do the right things and make sure they're educated enough to what policies, what we need to get changed. But, this is where we at, and I'm not sure that I can't control the world. I can't control Nashville, but I can make sure that the people that guys that I'm over are very, very educated in what's going on in the world and make sure that they're in position to do what we're supposed to do. And hopefully other coaches do the same.
Definitely. Yeah. To your point, I feel like we always come to this point where we got a big issue that comes about. We're on it, we're protesting, we're making changes, but it only lasts a month. It only lasts 2 months. I want that to fade away, and I want it to be, just something that we embody as a culture. I don't want to just see Black Lives Matter when something goes wrong. I want it to be something that we always embody and that we never forget. I grew up in Ferguson. So where Mike Brown was killed, where they were protesting, all that's my neck of the woods, and it destroyed me to see the community go down because of that issue. But at the same time, that's what it was, and so Ferguson just elected their first mayor that's African-American, and she just happens to be a woman as well. So, those type of things, if people go out and vote, that'll be dope. So, I definitely commend you on taking the lead on that, man, to make sure your guys get out and vote, because the younger generation needs to hear that. They need to know that they need to get out and vote, come November, and that's the only way change is going to happen. So definitely commend you on that. Want to switch back a little bit, get back to basketball. So at Tennessee State, you guys are in the Ohio Valley Conference?
Yes.
Okay. And talk a little bit about that as far as, some of the teams that you guys face that you contend with, the struggles that you might have within the conference. Just talk a little bit about that.
Oh, well, our league is extremely strong, man. We got some really good teams, some really good coaches. Really, the OPC has produced a lot of pros as well. Even this year, we had maybe 5 guys into the draft, even though I believe majority of them took their names out the draft, but they're all going to be, potential NBA guys at some point. So the teams, obviously my alma mater, Belmont, they went to the NCAA tournament this year. They're a powerhouse. Them and Murray State have pretty much been the premium the premium teams in the league, man. Every year they've been 1-2. Austin P has been in the mix. They got a new coach Figure, who's doing an unbelievable job. He's new. He's going into his 3rd or 4th year now. It's fourth or fifth year. And in East Kentucky as well. They got a good new coach. A.W. Hamilton came into the league at the same time, and their program's on the rise. Jacksonville State, Ray Harper, legendary coach, who's won almost 500 plus games at Jacksonville State. UT Martin, Barry Stewart, unbelievable coach as well. Another great league, great team in the league. His son Parker Stewart, the NBA player, he transferred in from Pittsburgh and averaged over 20 points a game this year.
Wow.
And then, I could go on and on. Morehead State's got a good program with Coach Preston. And it's just a really, really good league, man. OVC is tough, and every game is a tough game. It's not like one of those leagues where, we know we got a night off tonight.
Right.
Every game is tough. Looking at what happened here lately with Belmont's Dylan Windler went in the first round, and then John Morant went number 2 pick. So it just kind of tells you how talented the league is.
Yeah, that's good. With Belmont, Drew Hanlon he's from St. Louis, NBA decorated NBA trainer now. He's taking the game and ran with it. Have you had any type of conversations or anything with him? With you two being alums?
Yeah, it's like my little brother right there.
Okay. Yeah, Drew's a good guy, man. He's he knows his stuff. Hard worker.
Drew is the one thing I like about him is that as elite as of a trainer he is, he's an elite person too.
Yeah.
He's not the type of person that you can call and he's in a position that you could call him and he can kind of maybe brush you off. I'll get back with you whenever I get back with you.
Mm-hmm.
He's somebody that can be selfish with his information that he has to give.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to be so giving, and that's one of the most giving people that I've ever been around. You call him, he'll give you whatever he's got.
Yeah.
He'll make any phone call he can for you. I never forget when I was at East Tennessee State, he was training. At that time, he was training Jordan Clarkson from Missouri a lot. And I remember seeing that on Instagram or Twitter that he was training him. So I called Drew and I said, Drew, I see you training Jordan Clarkson, man. They got a kid named Deuce Bello that goes to Missouri as well. Man, you think you can get me on the phone with him? Oh, yeah, Penny. I'll call you back. Man, I'm talking about it wasn't 2 minutes later, he had Deuce Bello on the phone with me.
Nice.
And we ended up signing Deuce, at East Tennessee State. And he had a great last year at East Tennessee State for us. But Drew Hanlon, that's just an example of, what he's willing to do, man. I want to get a drill from him or something like that, or a workout. You see how giving he is, where he's making apps and giving his workouts away and showing people how to do it. And he doesn't have to do that.
No, it's unheard of.
Yeah. So he's innovative, and I'm glad I got him in my contacts and I can use him as a resource whenever I need him. But he's one of the he's not really up and comer now. He's becoming an OG of the game.
It's true.
But I do remember when he first kind of started, and he wrote a book in high school. I mean, the kid is a special young man, and I'm glad I know him, and I'm glad I can get to him whenever I need him.
Nice. So I want to be very conscious of your time. I guess got a couple more questions for you. From a daily grind perspective, throughout the season, whether it be conference, non-conference games, can you shed a little light as far as what's a typical day like, for a Tennessee State player, from early morning shoot around or workouts to class, what's a normal day look like for that athlete?
Well, I would say, usually most of our guys have to get up in the morning and we eat breakfast in the locker room. So we had that going on, and they had to eat before 9:00.
Okay.
They have an 8:00 class or a 10:30 class. That's on them. But they had to still get in and eat. And then usually after they eat, they go to class, and there's some type of study hall, scattered in their day at some point. If they have a break, they may get a 45-minute study hall. But usually it's maybe after lunch. Then they'll eat lunch, of course.
Okay.
After lunch, we usually got some type of weights, as a team. That's when we first start our team thing. But I need to pause for a second because they have to check in the office before 1:00 every day.
Okay.
We make sure we see them. We want to see them at least once before practice starts. So I don't want my first time to see them to be at practice all day.
Gotcha.
So it goes back into the relationship thing with our guys. So we spend a lot of time with our players. So they do check in the office before 1:00. Most of them, we may see them at breakfast, but if we didn't see them at breakfast, then they have to come back over and check in,
Gotcha.
So usually we'll have weights. And then if it's in the game season, if we're in season and we got a game in the next 2 or 3 days, we would have some type of film on that game, getting ready to prepare for that game.
Okay.
Before weights usually. And then we would practice. At practice, we usually do 15, 20 minutes of some type of skill work before we even get started with practice.
Gotcha.
Like the players will be out there with the assistant coaches going through some stuff, just some skill stuff, some ball handling, sometimes shooting, just depends what we need to work on that particular day.
Okay.
And they're broken down in groups. It might be the guards, wings, and the bigs. And then we'll start practicing. After practice, we'll usually have some type of dinner or something right there in the locker room for the guys.
Nice.
And the guys that really want to work hard, we do something called like our little post workouts. And we call it grind time. We put 15 minutes on the clock. So after practice, we put 15 minutes on the clock every time. It's not mandatory, but it's for the guys who just want to put in some extra work with the coach.
Right.
So we'll be out there, and pretty much what we did 15 minutes before practice, we'll do it 15 minutes after practice too.
Okay.
And it's never stressful, but, just some more shots, ball handling if you want it, free throws if you want it. Sometimes we just sitting there and talk, but I make sure my coaches, when practice is over, they're not just walking out off the court. For them, they got 15 more minutes if the players want to utilize them.
Gotcha.
And if the players want to stay longer than that, they can too. But and then usually, the day ends and we eat dinner and you going home right around 7:00. Ready to shut it down. If a guy wants to steal some more study hall hours, he can.
Okay. If
he doesn't, you can go shut it down. And what I tell the players is, if you're done with your work and you got everything in store. And after that's a long day right there, right? It
is.
But if you want to be special, you'll come back over at 10:00, 11:00, get some more shots up on the gun. What I mean? That's the killers. Or in that morning, you get up at 7:00 in the morning and get in and get some shots up on the gun. On your own.
So is the gym accessible to them, or do they have a key card where they can just go in when they need to?
Yeah, we got 24-hour access to our gym.
Okay, perfect.
Guys can get in there whenever they want to. So, it's no excuses. There's no excuses to be great.
Yeah.
And, I think that's one of the special things that we have going on for us, that, we got a coaching staff it's not necessarily young. Young is not the only reason why we understand it, but we're young enough to understand them. We understand the grind and what it takes and to be special and to be elite. And we write the prescription up. Them guys just got to take the medicine.
Right. Yeah. And I think everything you literally just said, I mean, for my teenagers that's going to be listening, my high school student athletes, for them to hear what it's going to take to be successful at a Division I level. Because everybody wants to play Division I, or even just Division II, NAIA, JUCO, whatever. A student athlete is a student athlete, no matter what school you at. And so to hear that grind, like you said, that's a long day. So even at 7:00, you're finishing up. That's a long day. And if you're not mentally equipped to handle that, you're not going to make it. So everything you just said was perfect, for guys that need to be able to hear that for sure. So I want to end it with, because like I said, I want to be very conscious of your time. I want to end it with, besides your father, give me your top 5 coaching influences, whether it be someone you've directly, had contact with, or, just seen from afar. Your top 5 influences.
I would say the first one is a guy named Cornelius Ridley, who you never heard of him. He's a high school coach in Nashville. He died a while ago, but he's a legendary coach. He coached the first integrated championship game in Nashville at Vanderbilt University when Pearl High played against Treadwell in 1968, and they won that game. They won the state championship. They went 30-0. And on that team, he had Perry Wallace, who was the first black player in the SEC at Vanderbilt. And also he had Ted Hal McClain, who went on to play at Tennessee State, scored over 2,800 points, and went on to play in the NBA, in the ABA for 13 plus years.
Nice.
So Cornelius really is my first one. My second one would be Doc Shelton, who's another legendary coach right here in Nashville.
Okay.
Won 2 state championships. Coached a lot of great players that went on. One of his best players he coached was Gerald Robinson, who came to Tennessee State, scored 1,000 points in 2 years, then went on to University of Georgia for his last 2 years. His claim to fame was he scored 64 points in three quarters. He didn't play the whole fourth quarter.
Man, he was putting some work in.
Yeah, Gerald Robinson was a bad boy, and Gerald still plays overseas now. So that's 2 coaches. The third one would be Lonnie Thompson, who I coached with at Cumberland University.
Okay.
An amazing guy, amazing coach. Learned a lot from him. And then the fourth coach would be Mike Williams, my AAU coach that I played for, and to the Tennessee Thunder, a really big time AAU program that I played for.
Okay.
Right here in Nashville. He gave me a lot of leadership roles, and learned a whole lot from him, and how to be just a leader. Really taught me how to be a leader.
Okay.
And then the last coach is Jim Nallner. And I really got more than 5, but I'll give you 5. Okay. Jim Nallner is my high school coach. He also passed away. He's a legendary coach. He went on to win many state championships. I mean, he didn't win a state championship. I take that back. He coached in many state tournament games, but coached over 40 plus years like my pops did, and produced a lot of Division I players. And a lot of the values that Coach Nallner had is the way I go about my business right now as well.
Okay. All right. Well, there you have it. Coach, I appreciate, you giving me the time. I know it's many things you could be doing, so I appreciate you blessing us with your presence, being able to share some of this knowledge. I definitely took a lot away from this, even the history aspect of it, with the whole HBCUs and the history behind that, with different schools and different players that have come out of those programs. I didn't know about that, so if I didn't know about it, I'm sure other listeners aren't going to know about it either. So I just encourage everyone to do your research, and as a group, as a Black race, hopefully we can do better. And, I'm looking forward to, hopefully you guys get a season, so I can go through that schedule with the fine tooth comb and find games that I'm able to get to, because I'm a basketball connoisseur. So, even if I'm not able to make games, hopefully you guys have, be on, some ESPN network where I can catch something. And, I look forward to following your journey and your success, and hopefully see you guys in the tournament soon.
Yeah, no, man, I appreciate you for having me on. Anytime I can have an opportunity to talk about, Tennessee State and push the culture and educate the young youth about what it takes to be a Division I player and the perception of HBCUs, man. Getting people to understand that your dreams can come true anywhere, and it all started here. We all started here. So there's no reason why it can't, come back.
I agree.
So, but thanks for having me, man. And, I'd love to see you at a game. You just let me know.
Yes, sir. Sounds good. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
All right. Thanks, Coach Collins.